Hey, what's up, everybody? And thank you for listening to Operation Agency Freedom, where we are bringing you top secret advice from the world's most badass digital agency owners. These amazing men and women are sharing their stories of how they have built 6, 7, and 8-figure digital agencies and how you can too. My name is Chris Martinez. I am the CEO of Dude, where we help digital agencies by giving them the people and the processes so they can take on more projects and scale profitably. And if you are in the market for a great read, I do want to recommend that you pick up my brand new book on how to run a remote team that creates amazing experiences for your clients and also builds an amazing company culture for you and your agency. So you can go to Amazon, you can pick up my new book, Never Wear Pants Again. You can get the paperback version, you can get the Kindle version, you can get both versions. I will be coming up with an Audible version too, so you can hear my voice on repeat at any time you want. But yeah, definitely check out my book, Never Wear Pants Again. So moving along, our very special guest today is the very successful Mr. Jordan West, founder and CEO of Mindful Marketing. Welcome to the show, Jordan. How are you today?
I am great. Thank you so much for having me. I can't wait to pick up your book. I'm totally going to pick up your book. I'm maybe looking forward to the Audible version just because I like talking to you so far. So,
well, my Audible voice is going to be way different. I use an accent and it's like slower and like, actually you should just slow me down to like 0.5 the speed.
I'll just buy both.
Anyways. Okay, perfect. You can always call me too. We can always just talk.
Sounds great.
But yeah, man, thanks for coming on the show. So I want to start off with our roundtable discussion. I'm really excited about this one because you used to own a taco restaurant, and let it be known that you are in Canada. And I live in Mexico. So we are very, very particular about tacos. So I got to hear that story.
So I think I was 23 at the time. I was either 22 or 23. I was combing through Craigslist and I was thinking to myself, man, I want to just buy a business. Like our family was like into business, but it kind of skipped my dad. My dad was a pastor actually. So totally skipped through him. He wasn't really into that, but I was always into business. And I'm like, I don't want to go to business school. So I thought, I'm going to buy a restaurant. That's what I'm going to do.
Had you finished university?
No, I hadn't. No. So I was, I'd gone to school for about 2 years and then I became a paramedic.
Okay. Wow.
So I was doing that. Yeah. So I was a full-time paramedic at the time and I was like, I'm going to buy a business and this is how I'm going to learn. So I found a Taco Del Mar, which was at the time, this fairly well-known chain restaurant. And it was for sale for $35,000, this particular location. I'm like, what can go wrong?
And everything?
Everything for 35 grand. I'm like,
it didn't include the land though, did it? Or was that the land?
No, it was a lease. It was just a lease,
land. Okay,
right?
so yeah. Okay.
It was a lease, but I was like, man, $35,000. Like, this is incredible. I'm sure they go new for like 300 grand or something. What could go wrong? So I did the training. For the very first day, I'm sitting there waiting for customers to come in. This was the location that was already running. I'm waiting for customers to come in and nobody. I think there was 2 or 3 customers in the first like 3 hours and we're a lunch business. I'm like, oh my gosh, what have I done? So I, out of necessity, had to learn how to market. I just had to learn how to get people in the store. I'm like, whatever I can do to get people in here so that I don't go bankrupt.
Right.
So we ended up after 5 years, tripling the sales, and which was actually pretty good. And I still lost about 150 grand. Wow. So I didn't have $150,000 to lose at the time. I was just pulling money from everywhere you can think of.
Yeah.
But man, what an incredible learning experience. I really look back on that time so fondly. I'll pass the store sometimes and I'll just think like, what was I doing? Why did I do that? But if I didn't, I don't think I'd be where I am with the businesses that I've had and this sort of success. Because at the time, 150 grand was like, oh my gosh, that's like everything way more than what I had, right?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Like just all these lines of credit. And now that's just like, okay, that's just a bad decision.
Right. It's funny because I don't think a lot of people know this about me, but my very first business was a soccer magazine that I started right after my dad died in 2007. And I ended up losing close to 200 grand. And, I was completely flat broke, like couldn't pull $20 out of the ATM broke. And I say the same thing. I'm like, it was the greatest learning experience. And essentially we both funded an MBA program, but it was like real world stuff that we learned, you know?
Totally.
So
Yeah. Real life MBA. I feel like, especially from the agency side, now I've developed this $150,000 empathy,
yeah.
right? For clients and for other business owners. It's like, guys, I get it. I have been there. Like, don't think I don't understand what it's like to not have any money.
So what was like the big thing that you guys sold? Because there's a million taco restaurants down here in Southern California. So, and then, you know, like 10 million in Mexico. What is it like? What is the taco scene like in Canada?
You know what? It's pretty thriving actually now. I mean, thriving as in like it's just chains.
Yeah.
We have Chipotle up here now.
Okay.
You know, at the time Chipotle hadn't entered the market. But we're home of the Mondo burrito. That was our big thing. And then somebody sued us for the name Mondo. And so then we were just home of the big burrito.
Okay. Did you guys offer seafood? Like, did you guys offer fish tacos? Was that like your thing or?
Totally. Yeah. So the chain had originally come from Seattle. And so they were on like the pier in Seattle, and their big thing was fish tacos. So that's what they were originally known for. And then that slowly shifted to burritos. It's funny. I haven't talked about this stuff in so long. Like, oh yeah, that's right. That was our big thing.
Well, tacos del mar means tacos of the sea.
Of the sea.
So you would imagine that there's going to be some seafood on the menu. But you know.
there was like a little fish who had a mustache.
Nice.
That was the guy, Carlos. You know, he was
the fish.
Yeah, Carlos the fish.
That's awesome. All right. Final question about the restaurant. What was your number one marketing book that you picked up back then when you were trying to drum up new business?
Oh, I think that's when I got into Digital Marketer.
Okay.
But I got into one of Ryan Deiss's books, which at the time it's funny because I look back on that book, I'm like, that wasn't even a book. It was just like, it was, I mean, it was great. It changed my life, honestly. The Digital Marketer guys absolutely changed my life. I don't even remember what that book was called, but it was all about email marketing and warming people up throughout the funnel. And it was the first time I'd ever heard any of that stuff before. I didn't understand how customer acquisition worked.
Right. Yeah, that's awesome. So Ryan Deiss learned a lot of his things. I don't know if you know who Dan Kennedy is.
Totally. Yes.
Yeah. So apparently there's this like secret mastermind group before Ryan Deiss and all these guys were together, but it was like Ryan Deiss, Perry Belcher, Russell Brunson, and like somebody else, Perry Marshall or somebody else. They were all in this one mastermind group with Dan Kennedy. Dan Kennedy was running the mastermind group, and all those guys went on to do big things in digital marketing. So they all kind of learned it from Dan Kennedy. And Bill Glazer. Yeah.
Wow. Crazy. Another huge plug for masterminds. Like I feel like it's all I've been plugging lately is like get into a mastermind, because that is the place where you make these connections. Anyway, absolutely. I know we're not talking about masterminds, but
absolutely. No, dude, we're talking about everything. But let's specifically talk about your agency. So Mindful Marketing. Why don't you talk about how, like, what do you guys do? What does your agency do?
Totally. So we work exclusively with 7 to 8 figure e-com stores. Mm-hmm. We like to say that we're the Facebook ads agency that gets you off Facebook ads. We really try to use all sort of strategies to actually build up customer lists. So we're just a full like strategic agency with e-com brands that really focus. I mean, our bread and butter is really paid ads. It's the way that my wife and I grew our e-com store. And it's kind of what we're known for, but we really want to focus more on just serving e-com business owners. So we also have a mastermind from that.
Oh, cool.
And so that's super cool. Really everything that we're doing is we're just obsessed with e-commerce founders because I am one. So.
Right. So that's what I was going to say. So I'm guessing that you have the clothing company, which I believe is called Little and Lively. And then you learned it yourself and then it grew. And then you're like, hey, I can run an agency helping other people. Is that kind of the story, the origin story for the agency?
Yeah, I'm sure agency owners who are listening to this probably know this story super well, right? I was just good at it. I was just really good at marketing. I figured it out. I'm pretty good at human psychology. I was still a paramedic this whole time, right? Mm-hmm. And the whole job of a paramedic is to come into situations, read the whole situation. Your job is not really medical. Your job is to calm people down, right? They're having like their worst day ever. You're just there to calm people down. And so it's pretty good at being able to read people, and which is a huge part of marketing. And so people would come to me all the time when they saw the success of Little and Lively and say, "Hey, I want you to help us out with this." So of course I would go help them, wouldn't charge them anything. I'd just tell them, kind of what I knew, like, "Hey, you should try this." Nobody would ever be able to actually execute it.
Of course.
and then they would come to me and be like, "Oh, can you just do this for us?" And so, we started I think my first retainer was like $500. Like, whoa, this is amazing. This is incredible. Actually, it was. And he just, after 3 or 4 years, just finally left that last remnant. And it was never e-com stores for some reason. It was just other businesses that came to us.
Okay. So you were kind of doing jack of all trades kind of thing?
Totally.
Okay.
We were all over the place. Any business that came in, we were so pumped about.
I say that I always say that the niche is CC and P. Anybody with a credit card and a pulse.
Yeah, exactly. We just wouldn't say no to anybody and any project either, right? Like website, yeah, sure, we'll do a website. Of course, we can do a website. No problem. How do we do a website?
Yeah.
And life is just so different now that we're niche down. This is all that we focus on. The only customer that we serve. If there's anyone even a slightly outside of that, we send them somewhere else, right? Because we just don't want. We've seen the success from niching down, especially in our services and in who we serve, and it's night and day.
So when did you come to that realization? Because that's a very pivotal point for an agency where you're just like, we're drawing a line in the sand. Anybody who's not on this side, we're pushing them to somebody else. There's usually a story behind it too.
Yeah, well, it was when an external consultant came in, actually from WordStream. They were doing free consulting and this free agency consulting. And she's like, "So you're telling me you own an e-commerce, like a 7-figure e-com store. You do marketing for your e-com store. You're really good at it. You have stories and you don't focus on e-commerce?" We're like, "Yeah, well, there's just a lot of e-commerce gurus out there and I don't want to be like them, And then I thought about it. I'm like, yeah, but I actually have a voice in the e-com space and can talk to that. And so that was about 1.5 years ago that we did that. We started a podcast, which I highly recommend to anybody.
100%.
Start a podcast. We probably get 3 inquiries a day that on our website from the podcast.
Wow.
It's incredible the amount of inquiries that come in because of the podcast. Like but it wasn't always like that. That's really probably only been the last 3 or 4 months that we've really seen that start to pay dividends.
Cool. Awesome. All right. So I have a little note here that talks about a massive sale that you guys did. And I don't know if this is for yourself and your own e-commerce brand or for a client, but I do want to hear about how you guys did 250 grand in 24 hours.
Yes. Luckily, that was my own money.
Okay, cool.
for our brand, yeah. So what we've been really focusing on lately for our brand and then for others. So we test everything that we do on our brand first, right, and then we roll it out to clients. So yeah. I mean, it just makes sense, right? Like just test it, and then I can give a case study about it. And so with this particular one, what we've done over the past years, we built up a VIP group on Facebook, and we built up a VIP SMS list as well. Okay. So we don't message the list, the SMS list too often. We're generally about twice a month with it. But what we tell them is that they're going to get early access to sales and to new releases. So this was our fall release. And what we did is we did a gated launch. So to do a gated launch, you have to password protect your site, and then you give the password out to the people who want to enter. And so we did about a 2-week run up to this gated launch. And then
promoting content and hyping it up. Is that what you mean?
Yeah, exactly. Hyping it up, showing them all of the new product that's going to be available on the VIP group, asking everyone's opinion of what they want, which is great in the VIP group because then everybody kind of eggs each other on to purchase more things.
Gotcha.
So we gave out the password. So site is completely closed. They have to enter a password to get in. We gave out the password on SMS and in the VIP group, and it was just mayhem. We had, in that first 2 hours, we did 120,000 in sales, which
What
We've
was
just
the
never
item?
seen.
What was the item that we were selling?
This is baby and women's clothing.
So it was a gated part of the membership site, but there was multiple products. It wasn't just one particular product.
Yeah, we released probably 400 new SKUs.
Wow.
That day. So we do 2 big launches a year, and this was one of them. We've never seen a launch like this before. There's no discounts, right? This is not a sale. We've seen numbers close to that on sales before, but this is not a sale. This is just a launch of new product that they're paying full price for. It's absolutely incredible. The one issue that we're having with these launches now is that stuff sells out so fast, and people actually get upset. Like, we've had people reach out and be like, I'm not ordering from your brand anymore because you guys sell out so fast. Like, wow. Awesome. That's totally fine. We're totally fine with that.
That's so cool. So, I mean, so 250 grand in 24 hours. I mean, did you sell out the whole entire store, or, sell out a bunch of products?
They're just certain sizes, right? There's some of the more popular sizes. No, we carry about $1 million of inventory at all times. So,
wow.
Yeah, so we're pretty well stocked inventory wise. But then we just continued to sell throughout that time. It was like 50 grand the next day, 40 grand the next day. Just awesome. Yeah, huge sales. And throughout this whole time, we actually weren't running Facebook ads. This was all organic. We're all from the list that we built up over the years, right? So that's the whole idea with our agency that we're trying to drill into our clients, is like, once you get to this point, you don't have to have Facebook ads for these launches, right?
Right.
I still recommend, of course, paid traffic is the way to go, but like, using this methodology and building up your list really can allow you to not spend as much and then just be more profitable.
That's awesome, man. So how have you transitioned your success and your own brand to now working with clients?
Yeah, so that's something we've been working on over the past year and a half, especially for me, like being the CEO. Like, I am not in the day-to-day. I don't manage accounts. I don't look in accounts. I'm still attached to some accounts, but like, being able to get that, all of the knowledge that's in my head, and then make a system for it and give it to our account managers has been very difficult for me. I'm not a systems guy. I'm not good at that stuff. Luckily, my business partner is. He's amazing. So we'll have sessions where we just sit down and he just asks me a bunch of questions. And then he'll write out a whole system for our ad account managers and our Facebook managers and Google and all those guys, right? And then we'll start implementing it. And generally, that's where we've really seen the success, is actually building the systems, right? Before you have systems, it's a job. This is a job. Now this is a business.
Right. Absolutely. Well, I love systems.
Yes. Totally.
Like
I feel like I'm preaching to the choir here. So,
okay. So what are some of the things that you see that are working really well for your e-commerce brands that you work with?
I mean, we're still seeing everything Facebook and Google is working great. October was terrible. October of 2020, absolutely terrible. But
strange.
I mean,
why do you think that was?
The election.
People going crazy, holding on to their money because they don't know if there's going to be civil war. Totally.
Yeah. There was just something, and we saw it across all of our accounts. In our mastermind, we have a mastermind of 30 people that all run like, high 7-8 figure stores. Everybody saw it. Like, everyone, October was just terrible. I really think that like what happened with the election was CPMs just went through the roof.
Because there's so many people trying to get eyeballs.
Yeah. So it just got so expensive to run anything.
Makes sense.
But I mean, what's really working in e-com right now is brand, right? Is brand and a solid offer. And so the companies that we take on, that we work with now, we just make sure that they have a solid brand and that they're actually able to sell. I don't like running funnel like e-com businesses. That's not what we're interested in, like single product e-com stores. We love working with brands because there's so much more. The other thing that's working actually really well for other agency owners out there too is high frequency. We're talking like frequencies. So for every the amount of like impressions per user, right? So within retargeting, what we're seeing is like frequencies of 30 not per ad, but per ad set, right? So have a bunch of different ads that they're seeing with different offers, and different creative. That's working incredibly, incredibly well. So people will say like, oh, turn it off if it's a frequency of like 3. I'm like, no, not on your retargeting. When you're retargeting, keep that frequency for like a month high. And that's how you'll see those high return on ad spends. Like with our Little and Lively account, our return on ad spend over this year, spending like, I don't even know how much we've spent, hundreds of thousands, is 10.
Wow.
Our return on ad spend is 10. So $1 in, $10 out.
Does that stay true even if it's a high ticket item? Because I'm guessing that the things on your e-commerce store, they're not more than $1,000, $2,000. It's lower ticket items.
Oh, for sure. And but then the higher the ticket item, the higher the frequency has to be.
Gotcha.
So like for any agency owners out there who are listening, who have been targeted by Hyros, they're a great example. Them and Traffic and Funnels of high frequency, because they have high ticket offers. I mean, Traffic and Funnels has some great low ticket offers to get you into their funnel. But like these higher ticket items, like $200, $300 e-com items, you need to hit these people tons of times with a bunch of different information before they're going to make that purchase.
How many times are we talking about?
I'm talking 30 times.
Okay.
I'm talking
30 times in a month?
Yeah.
Or in a day?
Yeah, that's no. 30 times within a month, but we're talking full funnel across everything, right? So YouTube retargeting, Google display retargeting, TikTok, Snapchat, all of that, Pinterest, right? We spend so much money on retargeting. And that's why we're able to get good results.
Wow. That's great. I mean, I was kind of asking you from a selfish standpoint, because our stuff is not, it's not crazy expensive, but it's not cheap. And we had such a horrible time in the beginning of the year running our own Facebook ads. And it just wasn't, it wasn't paying off. And now we're doing cold calling, which is fantastic. I mean, it's doing really, really well. I think partly because in our industry, not a lot of people do cold calling. And if they do, it's not somebody who speaks English. So
totally. Yeah.
So yeah, it's really, really interesting. I love hearing about this. I mean, I am not an ad guy, I haven't run an ad campaign or set up an ad campaign in probably more than 5 years. So it's just really cool to learn from you, and see what's working for your folks.
Totally. Well, and I'm still trying to stay sharp too, right? Like, especially not managing, client accounts on a day-to-day basis. I still manage our account, and I'm partners in a bunch of other businesses too. So that's how I stay sharp, is running those accounts.
Sweet. So what does the future hold for you guys?
Well, I mean, for us at the agency, I mean, on both sides, right? At the agency, we're looking to acquire another agency in the email marketing space. That's our next email marketing and CRO for e-commerce companies. So, if anyone's out there who's looking, you can always contact me.
And are you particularly looking for somebody with a book of business? Or are you looking for the team?
I'm looking for both. I'm looking for both. We really want to offer those two services to our clients. And so we really want that, that company that's, 30 to 50 clients, that sort of size that would really mesh well with what we're doing.
Yeah, I was gonna say, it seems like a natural fit.
Well, it's just a no-brainer. I mean, same for, another agency out there. Like if you're not thinking about acquisition, it's just the best way. It's a win-win for everyone, right? Lots of agency owners want to get out.
That's very true.
And if you have systems, like for us, it would just be like running there wouldn't be that much more headache for us running that second part of the business.
How many agencies have you guys purchased already?
We're not. We haven't yet.
So this is gonna be the first one.
This is going to be the first one. Yeah. So we've looked to some of our mentors and what they've done to grow their businesses. And that's exactly what we're doing. So we're actually on the same side. I've had about 50 conversations on the clothing company side with potential acquisitions, and still nothing's come through. But people tell me it's about a 2% close rate. So I got to be getting pretty close on some of those.
Yeah, that's really interesting. I had a question about, and I forgot to ask you this already, but about the mastermind group itself, because you said you have a mastermind group that you run for your clients. It's like 30 people, 30 agents or 30 clients that are in the group. Where did that come from?
So the whole mastermind idea came from came from a mastermind that I was in. So I'm in an agency mastermind with Jason Swank, and absolutely,
I know Jason.
yeah, I'm sure you do. I mean, awesome guy. I've been in his mastermind for probably about a year and a half.
Have you been up to his ranch yet in Durango?
I have not. We were obviously going to go this year, and
Nice.
couldn't make it out because of COVID, because we're Canadians. So
yeah.
So I was in his mastermind, and I realized this is so incredibly valuable. Like, for the amount that we pay, I mean, it's 100% worthwhile. And I thought, I want to get into something like this for e-commerce. So I looked into a few of them. I looked into Ezra Firestone's, who's, Ezra's a big guy in the e-com space, and it was about $40K a year US. Which if you
so it's like 4 million Canadian.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it's like that. It'd be like 55 grand Canadian.
Yeah.
It's a lot of money. And I was like, there's got to be something else out there. And there wasn't really a lot of e-commerce masterminds out there. And so I just decided to start one. So I just invited my podcast guests and started it as a free mastermind, and now we charge. And my close rate on the mastermind is about 100% when I chat with people, because I think people know the value of being in a group like that. So, we have 30 members. We meet twice a month just on Zoom. And generally we have about half the members at each call. And it's incredibly valuable. We had one this morning, and just like the problems that we were able to solve, and asking other people's ideas, like, it's incredible. The insight that you can get from a group like that you could never get on your own by just reading articles.
Right. 100%. I've been looking for a mastermind, actually, but I was in a mastermind earlier this year with Russ Perry, who started Design Pickle. And,
cool.
It was, it wasn't cheap, but the amount of valuable information that I got out of that group, I mean, literally the first 2 hours of being in the group, I got my money's worth. That was awesome, and probably like you, like I wouldn't be where I am now had I not learned from, Russ and a lot of the other people in the group. So definitely worthwhile.
Yeah. Highly suggest. I mean, for agency owners out there too, like it is, and that's another way a reason that we've grown our agency the way that we had. We would have never started a podcast if it wasn't for Jason telling us to start a podcast. All of these little tiny tweaks that you make, that we didn't have to learn them, right? We didn't have to go through losing $150,000 like I did at first. Right.
But you do have some cool taco stories though. So,
oh man, the stories, I can't wait till I'm like a little bit more gray and I can talk about these stories. Like, tell my grandkids, I owned a taco restaurant one time when I was 23 years old.
Well, we had, I don't know if you know Matt Wolf and Joe Fear. They have a podcast called Evergreen Profits. And
no, I don't.
So they used to work. We talked about this when they were on my show. They used to work in a cake bakery, and they would get all these requests for X-rated cakes.
Okay.
And they're in high school. So, like 17-year-old kids, and they're having to deliver X-rated cakes. that this old guy who was the baker, he'd been there forever, he's in the background making all these crazy looking cakes, and they were talking about that story. So dude, it's all fun. it's all in good fun. Anybody who's worked in food service knows that there's a ton of crazy stories to tell.
Oh yeah. Oh yes.
Awesome, man. Well, you know what, we're just about out of time. What's the best way for people to get in contact with you, Jordan?
Yeah, totally. You can connect with me on LinkedIn. That's probably the best way. So just search Jordan West on LinkedIn. I probably should be the first Jordan West to pop up. If not, it's Jordan-West-Marketer on LinkedIn. And I am super, super active on LinkedIn. I think it's the best place to connect with, other agency owners, podcast hosts, e-com store owners. It's just the place to be.
Awesome, man.
In my opinion. So that'd be the best. And then, if you're, one of those kind of agencies that I talked about before, and you're looking into potentially selling, I'm super, super interested right now. So Jordan at mindfulmarketing.co, please feel free just to reach out. And the worst thing that can happen is we can become friends and chat. So
that's worth the price of admission for sure. And you kind of just stole my second question. So I always ask everybody who would be the perfect person to reach out to you today. So so agency owner, CRO, What was the other thing?
Or email marketing.
Email
Yeah.
marketing,
Yeah, like
CRM.
Klaviyo agency. That'd be awesome.
Awesome. Fantastic. Well,
Yeah.
thank you so much for being on the show today. And to all of our listeners, thank you all for tuning in today, and make sure that you return next Thursday and every Thursday for the next episode of Operation Agency Freedom. Bye, guys.